All right. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the MedSpa Success Strategies podcast. Today, Ricky and I are going to talk about the best lead generation and marketing strategies for med spas in 2025 based off of what we see day in and day out. I'm really excited for us to dive into this topic because this is something that clients ask us pretty much all the time. It's always a question of where should I start or where should I best spend my ad dollars, dependent on how big they are. It doesn't matter on the size. Everybody has the same question. So we're going to dive into what those options look like today, what we think some of the best of those are, and then some of the trade-offs in each too. So some of the options, just to rifle through these real quick for those of you who might just be listening, not looking. We have organic social media. We have paid social media ads. We have Google organic, so some optimizations on your website, paid Google ads, TikTok organic posts, as well as ads too, email and SMS marketing, influencer and creator collaborations, online directories and review sites, direct mail, print advertising, radio or TV ads, podcasts and audio ads, billboards and outdoor advertising, event sponsorships, community outreach, referral programs, loyalty programs, and guerrilla marketing. We could go on and on and on with this list. But those are some of the top 19 to 20 that we've been thinking of and talking through. Ricky, do you want to dive into some of those?
Yeah, and I think that just illustrates how many directions people are pulled when it comes to where do I spend money on marketing and advertising.
Yeah.
All of us know whether you're doing $300,000 a month or $30,000 a month, we all know we need to spend money on marketing if we want to be attracting new clients and to consistently be pushing the pedal on growth. But you're pulled in a million directions, and it can be super overwhelming trying to figure out where to put your time, energy, resources to generate the best results. Like Lauren just listed off, that's 19 different options and categories for how you could spend your money. And people are telling you to do most of these things at one time or the other. So I think on this next slide, we have it outlined. Of those 19 things, let's narrow it down to the things that you should be doing regardless. So let's just call these like foundational blocks in your business. Make sure that you're doing these things if you're not already. Most of you are going to be doing these. So let's just check that box first. So that would be organic social media. And we're going to touch on these a little bit more. Organic social media is a time requirement more than a money requirement, but you have to make the time, or someone in your business associated with your business has to make the time to do organic social media and to do it well. The basics of Google organic. So let's not sabotage our potential for showing up in Google search by not taking care of the easy things that a few hours of work can a box we can check in terms of Google organic ranking prominence. Email marketing and SMS. So how do we re-engage our existing clients consistently? And then some sort of referral program, loyalty program, or membership. Those are things that we should all be doing. Even practices that aren't spending money on advertising are doing those things. That still leaves us with a list of 13 other things that we could be doing to generate business. And of the things that I just mentioned, those are not super scalable. They're not really reliable and predictable like some of the other advertising platforms. So we can do organic social media well all day long, but we're just hoping that that somehow generates business. We don't really have a consistent mechanism for tracking unexpected result. Same thing with a lot of these other things. So I think that's the first thing that we need to do is check the building blocks, make sure that we have the foundation in place. And then of these other things, if we're going to spend money to aggressively grow our practice, where do we go with those ad dollars? Real quick on a couple of these. Let's just, Lauren, I guess, talk through the organic social, organic Google, email, SMS, referral programs, and loyalty programs. So much of what we learn comes from our top performing clients and guests on the podcast. So just keep in mind when we're trying to share what's not just our opinion and our experience anecdotally, but also what do we hear from other people and how can we aggregate all of the things that we've learned and deliver those to you. So I just filmed a podcast episode on organic social media. And this is something that's always top of mind because I think we have clients that do this really well. We have clients that maybe don't do this so well. It's just a box that they check because they know they have to do it. But if you go to their Instagram profile or their Facebook even, it doesn't get you excited about doing business with them. Lauren, just from a high level, organic social media, what do you think right now as we sit here in the middle of 2025? What do you think are like the musts for organic social media?
Yeah,
I guess first let's start with platforms and then content types.
Okay. Platforms, I definitely think number one place to go, Instagram. Spend a lot of your time on Instagram, and you can even use a lot of the scheduling tools to do your posts on Instagram, Facebook, kind of across the platforms to save some time. Definitely Instagram and then Facebook are the two places to start for sure. I think it's huge to really establish a relationship and a personality through those pages. So whether you're running ads or not, however people are finding you on your pages, that's kind of the first interaction they're going to have with your business. They're going to get to know you that way. They're going to get to know your staff that way too. So I like to say, just get comfortable with the camera. A lot of our clients are not. They always tell us it's really hard for them to do and to spend the time doing, but it's just something you got to do. You got to showcase your skills, your personality, as well as some great results that you might have. So focus on things like before and after pictures, quick videos of the providers talking about their favorite treatments, demonstrate your expertise and your knowledge. One thing we've been talking about a lot recently is kind of the vibe of the page, right? Are we doing more goofy, kind of funny content related things, or are we doing more serious and professional type things? Now, obviously, there's a good balance between those. We don't want to be so serious and stuck that people don't want to come, but we don't want to be so goofy to where it kind of takes away from our knowledge and expertise level too. But it's definitely so important to make that feel like a comfortable space where people just want to keep scrolling through the stuff you have because it builds that rapport immediately.
Yeah, I think the thing to keep in mind with organic social media, the goal is not to go viral. We're not trying to be TikTok influencers. We're trying to make people that are shopping for a local med spa that hopefully can become their new med spa home. We want those people to choose us. What content is going to get those people to actually pull the trigger and schedule the appointment with our practice over our competitors? So you don't need to worry about like all of the viral TikTok trends and views of your content. I would probably recommend focusing more on depth and understanding that you need that to map to your customer purchase journey. Most people are going to come across your Instagram not because you went viral and they saw you in their feed. They're going to come across your Instagram or your social media pages because they're trying to figure out what med spa they want to visit, and that's part of their investigation process. Lauren, would you agree with that? Does that seem like a fair
100%.
synopsis?
Definitely.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of like tone, tenor, or cadence, I don't know that we've got like great guidance on that. I would say just be consistent, be authentic, show personality. You're trying to develop know, like, and trust so that people that are considering your med spa come across the page and they feel comfortable and excited about taking the next step. Google Organic, we have a whole walkthrough on the YouTube channel going through like the basic checklist items for good SEO fundamentals in terms of your on-page blueprint, your Google business listing, how to think about SEO long-term. Those are things that you can breeze through in a half day's work, somebody on your team. So I would go through and check out that resource. Email and SMS marketing. I think if we had to boil that down, it would be SMS is more powerful than email because the open rates are nearly 100%. Deliverability is almost 100%. The response rate is better. I would still supplement with email because it doesn't cost us anything extra, essentially, to be sending emails. It's very low cost to be sending emails. But always, I would say in either of those, understand that if you don't have a good, quote, what's in it for them, for the client, people are going to start to tune those out pretty quickly. So if all you're doing is texting out educational content or sending an email about a new device that you're excited about without a promotion or some sort of incentive, you're probably going to lose people. So I would say be selective with that. Lauren, I don't know what you think. We recommend again. Go ahead.
I was just going to say one big thing that we've learned recently, especially with email marketing and some of our bigger clients who are doing a lot of the emails, is instead of trying to combine everything that you want to say or all the exciting things you want to get across in one long email at the beginning of each month, we recommend segmenting those out into different segments per month. So maybe you have like your favorite device of the month or something about your team for the month, a great promo that you want to push for the month or your monthly specials. But kind of segmenting those out, still making them good quality and good content in each one, but you have a good chance of people seeing you more often and seeing things rather than just clicking and scrolling through this giant paragraph that they don't want to read. Separating it, we've seen much better open rates and click-through rates doing it that way too. And then SMS marketing is just push what you want to push and whenever you want to, especially promotion-wise. So if you're going to get promotions out there, do it once a week if you need to. Do it once a month. I don't suggest more than once a week. You don't want to start annoying people or irritating them, but it's definitely a great use of tools to get people in when your schedule needs an extra bump too.
Yeah. And like Lauren said, have a singular focus. We found that works a lot better. Like Lauren said, instead of an email newsletter, you've got a special you're really excited about, but it's buried 4 sections in after you did like news and your highlighted team feature that's going to get lost in the shuffle. So having a singular focus with those, definitely beneficial. I think the nuance for us too is we don't want to train people to buy on a regular schedule knowing that they're going to get a discount. Some practices have that business model just embedded or baked into the cake. Most do not, though, or they want to avoid that. So if you're going to run SMS promotions, like Lauren said, make it something that fills the schedule last minute for pending appointments. So that can be kind of regular that, if you want to book last minute, there might be availability. It's okay to reward people for being flexible and available last minute for appointments. And then try to make sure that they're inconsistent and unpredictable. So if you do a Botox promo every single month, people are just always going to buy your Botox at the promo price. If you sneak it into like, it's a surprise, it's a cherry on top that once a year, one of your SMSs is for Botox, people get really excited. They'll jump on it during that month. But understand also, when you run a discount, you're basically front loading the demand. So there are people that would have had an appointment maybe at a regular price, potentially 3 weeks from now, that are now booking 3 weeks earlier at a discount. And then there are people that wouldn't have booked at all, they're booking. So there's a trade-off there, but just understand that as well. And then the last thing here was a referral program, loyalty program, or membership program. I won't go into it for the sake of this video. There are so many options with how to build those programs. Maybe another video, we can do a deep dive on our best advice for the combination there. But again, we can all do some version of that, even if it's just a loyalty program as kind of a baseline. Lauren, any other thoughts on those basically foundational items that pretty much everybody will be doing, whether they're spending money on marketing or not?
Not yet. Nope.
This episode is brought to you by MedSpa Magic Marketing, my agency. We help med spas and aesthetics practices grow with more effective marketing strategies. And I know that's a vague phrase, right? That's a vague claim. So I have an offer for you. I offer this to any new prospects. If you're interested in exploring another marketing option, a new agency, or just getting into Facebook, Instagram, Google Ads for the first time, I'd love to show you why we're different, what we're doing for clients. And we can do that via a 1.5 hour planning session where I'll outline a specific marketing plan and I'll give you all of the blueprints that we would implement if we were to do business together. Now you can take that, use that on your own, hire someone else to help you execute it, or work with us. We really don't hold anything back on that strategy call. And I think you'll have a lot of confidence in how you manage your marketing investment moving forward, understanding some of the nuances that can help you implement more effective marketing strategies for your business. So if you want to do that, you can go to medspamagicmarketing.com. Okay, so moving on to these other 13 things that get into advertising when you're trying to ramp up. So the practices that are doing that, some of you are really established, you're big practices, you haven't needed to spend a lot of money on marketing and advertising. Maybe you don't have super aggressive, ambitious growth goals, or maybe you're just starting off and you're building the foundation. Let's talk about these other 13 things. If you are in growth mode, whether again, you're at $3 or $4 million a year or $50,000 a month, if you're trying to aggressively grow your practice via new client acquisition, you have all these options. And I wanted to talk about opportunity cost. So opportunity cost is the value of what you give up when you choose one option over the other. Not just the actual dollars spent, it's what those dollars could have done for you elsewhere. So when you're getting pulled in a million different directions, we need to understand the opportunity cost and figure out how to allocate time, energy, and resources into the things that are going to give us the best result. And this is the part that can get a little controversial because everybody's got an opinion, but prioritization is key. So we're going to talk about our best advice in terms of prioritization and where we recommend spending marketing and advertising dollars. So first, prioritization means investing in the channels and tactics that deliver the most direct path to your goals. Example, new patient bookings and revenue. They offer higher returns per dollar or hour spent, and they align with your target audience's actual behavior, where they spend time and how they make decisions. So let's talk about kind of our recommendations, Lauren, in terms of phasing up growth. And this is kind of a new development. We actually restructured our program options to reflect this suggestion. So for those of you listening, again, we're a marketing provider. One of our core values, though, is we provide advice and guidance to our clients free of self-serving financial impact. So we do not want to even convince our own clients to do something that we wouldn't do if we were in their shoes. If I owned the business, where would I be spending my dollars? That's where this momentum map came from. So we think of things in terms of 4 phases and 4 different levels of business as you grow and scale. So for us, of all those options we listed, the only thing we recommend doing in terms of proactive advertising investment up to, if you're under 100K a month and you're listening to this, this is the only place we would recommend spending marketing and ad dollars. 8 out of 10 times is meta ads, which is Facebook and Instagram ads, paired with a really good lead intake, conversion, and tracking system. So if we're going to spend money on marketing and advertising, we need a phenomenal system for taking in leads, organizing the leads that are coming in, automating workflows that give touch points to those leads to try to get them to book the appointment, and then measuring the results in terms of leads to booked appointments and understanding our actual customer acquisition cost and ROI calculations. So we've done this, talked about that part in a lot of the other videos, but that 8 out of 10 times would be the first place we recommend spending ad dollars. So even if you're at $250,000 a month and you're nervous about getting into marketing and advertising, or you have a pretty established business and you want to start thinking about growing and scaling and ramping up client acquisition further to go beyond what you've done so far, even then, that's where we recommend spending ad dollars first. I think the caveat there, Lauren, for us would be there are certain services where Google Ads shifts to the priority 1A. And those services would be things that are more niche. So laser hair removal in a Facebook, Instagram ads environment can be like looking for a needle in the haystack. Same thing with tattoo removal. There's only a small fraction of people seeing your ads on Facebook and Instagram that are interested in tattoo removal right now. Better to spend those ad dollars on Google. Some of the higher ticket services where people are searching for the product, service, or device by name can be good Google Ads candidates. But 8 out of 10 times, meta ads is the first priority. Lauren, anything to add to that?
No, I would just say the nice thing that's helpful with meta ads for us too, especially, is we can pretty much tell you, and based on how much you're willing to invest, exactly what's going to come from that. We have it down to a science pretty specifically, which is why I think too it helps with people who are a little more apprehensive of getting into marketing or aren't really sure what their dollars are going to do for them in terms of growth or next steps. That science is pretty standard in terms of what campaign you're going to run, what promotion you're going to run, et cetera, and what's going to come out from what you put in. So I think it's almost a safer option too, especially if you fall in line with the benchmarks that we have in place. You kind of know what's going to happen after you put the money in. So it helps knowing too, going into it, what's going to come out.
Yeah. And so for those of you that are listening to Lauren saying, okay, what does all that mean? We do a walkthrough in our video series on YouTube. It's a completely free walkthrough. There's literally no catch to it. We show you our top performing ad strategies, exactly how we build the offers, what services work best, which things we avoid when we talk about meta ads. So let's link that in the show notes for everybody. Let me make a note here to link that in show notes so that we can put that down in the links below. So that would be phase one, meta ads. I know that sounds so overly simplified, right? People are being pulled in so many directions. They've got the Yelp person contacting them, iHeartMedia wanting them to run radio ads. Somebody's trying to sell them a billboard in their BNI group. I don't know what those things might look like. A lot of people talking about Google Ads, SEO. I would not be doing any of those things. Facebook and Instagram ads would be my primary ad spend until I hit at least 100K revenue as a ballpark rule. From there, in terms of prioritization, as a priority 1B, we would call this ramp up phase 2 of our momentum map, would be the incorporation of Google Ads. The reason Google Ads is going to be our 1B and not our 1A is because, at least incrementally on average, it's more expensive to acquire the client. There's not as good of an arbitrage opportunity on the data as there is on Facebook and Instagram. So where it might cost us $150 on average to get a new injectable client on Facebook and Instagram, might cost us $215 on Google, for example. Now, there are other data points there, of course, client quality, initial visit revenue, retention that flow from that. But we found that the client quality differential does not outweigh the difference in customer acquisition cost to this point. Now, we're perfectly happy to be proven wrong. We're just sharing, to the best of our ability, the data that we have now as we sit here summer of 2025, what this typically looks like. So that would be ramping up from phase 1 to phase 2 would be the incorporation of Google Ads. So at this point, we've got meta ads, Google Ads, and then again, a good lead take, conversion, and tracking system on the back end. And I'm going to ride that roughly until I'm a $2 million a year med spa. That's going to sound crazy to a lot of you. You've got 15 other things you want to do, and I'm telling you to be patient. And we're saying wait until you're at $2 million a year before you even expand into a third marketing arm. And the reality is, again, opportunity cost. If we were to take those dollars and spend them somewhere else that's less efficient, we're costing our business the opportunity to grow, scale, and generate profitability faster. So that would be ramp up phase 2 for us in our momentum map. Phase 3 would be the incorporation of SEO. We call that the elevate phase. And that's where you're about a $2 million a year med spa. I'm going to ride that until I'm close to a $3 million a year med spa. And now at that phase, I'm going to incorporate proactive SEO. Now, this is very counterintuitive and counter to what most of you have heard. Most of you that have worked with marketing agencies and marketing providers, one of the first things they try to sell you is SEO. Now, again, I'm going to add this. We're going to talk about ourselves for a second, but I think it's important to understand where this guidance is coming from. I'm an SEO professional primarily by trade. When I started this business in 2012, I was doing only SEO consulting for medical practices I worked with in South Florida. Over the course of the next decade, we served clients in a variety of industries and also provided consulting and freelance work for other agencies in the SEO realm. I spoke last year at a conference to other agency owners from all over the world on the SEO panel. I think we do world-class SEO work. So this is not coming from a place of someone who just feels inadequate about their SEO ability or an agency that feels like they just don't get SEO. I really think we've got SEO dialed in. And even for us, I don't recommend a proactive, ongoing SEO investment until you're at roughly this point. And the reason being is SEO, after you check the initial boxes of good on-page SEO fundamentals, you're being proactive about your Google reviews and your Google listing, you're starting to earn some inbound links, meaning other reputable sites are mentioning your business and linking to you. Maybe you've earned some local press. All of that stuff that happens after those initial checkboxes is very slow, very incremental in terms of the progress, and very unpredictable. So going back to the opportunity cost example, those dollars, I believe, could be better used for most practices early on, generating direct response on Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. Again, we've had clients in our SEO program featured in Forbes and GQ. We pay a lot of money for PR tools to help us achieve those types of features. We've spent time negotiating sponsorship opportunities recently for NFL sports cheerleading teams for some of our clients. So we're doing a lot of legwork on the SEO side that other people are not doing. And I think we've got a good fundamental understanding of the things that actually impact rankings, that aren't the fluff. They're not the housekeeping tasks that most SEO companies talk about. So I say that to really illustrate the point of, we know what we're talking about. I really believe that we are as dialed in as anybody on the SEO side. And for us, we don't recommend doing it until you're at a couple $1 million a year plus. So I know, again, counterintuitive. Most of you have heard out of the gate, as soon as you get into internet marketing, SEO is one of the first things you're told to spend money on. Yes, do the foundational things in terms of your on-page blueprint and be proactive about good Google reviews. Watch our SEO training. Again, it's a free walkthrough. But other than that, I don't think you should be paying thousands of dollars a month in SEO retainer until you're comfortably at a couple $1 million a year plus. Lauren, anything to add to the SEO side of the conversation?
Yeah, I just want to back to the point of making sure you do your due diligence on your end. If you're not going to pay or invest in SEO services, it is still crucial and incredibly important that your website is up to date and clearly lists all the things that you offer, your expertise, your team's expertise, has great pictures, videos, in-office content, things like that, because it really is a site where you're pitching yourself. So if somebody does find you via Google or they map pack or they go to your website from your Instagram, you still want it to be a place where they're going to learn and they're going to want to choose you from. So make sure that you do take those first initial steps in making sure your page titles are up to date. You have a page for each service you offer. You take your time and really write out a lot of content. You can use tools like ChatGPT to help you go through and write out in-depth content and then give it some authorship or quote by who it's from, etc. But you definitely want to make sure that you have taken those steps and that your website is still a pleased thing that people see once they get to it. Don't neglect that side of the business. But I definitely agree with Ricky in terms of spending money on the SEO side and how to take care of that.
Yeah, good point. I'm just saying, essentially, you're right, Lauren, that there are so many things you can do on your own that are easy, that actually make an impact, set up the foundation for good long-term SEO, but don't require an ongoing SEO investment. So many of you are paying for things like low quality inbound link outreach that's not the spinning your wheels and not creating impact in terms of links. You're spending money on a blog that I think is counterproductive and actually can hurt your SEO results. We have a whole video on why a blog, I believe, is a really bad idea. Unless you have something super valuable to say and the provider is writing it as a passion project, you should not be paying an outsourced SEO company to write blog content, in my opinion. But yeah, go through and do the foundational items. We walk through how to do all those things in those videos. Again, I'll put those in the show notes below, whether you're listening on podcast or YouTube. Hey there, wanted to briefly interrupt the episode to make a quick ask. If you're a podcast listener, it would mean the world to us if you leave a review for the podcast, whether that's on iTunes or Spotify. It's something I hadn't really remembered or thought of asking for, but it does help us show up more frequently so that we can reach more people with the information that we're providing. So it would mean the world to us if you leave a review on iTunes or Spotify, if you're listening on audio. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button so you're in the loop for future videos and you don't miss any of the content that we're putting out. So after SEO, now we're going to build up to SEO to where we are $3 million a year plus. Now that we're at the $3 million a year mark plus, as a rough, just kind of like a rough blueprint of where I recommend kind of taking the next step. The next thing we say is this is our Dominate program. And this is where you start incorporating some of these other things that we talked about. So if I scroll back to this list, we've covered the basic high impact strategies and tactics and channels now. We've got all these other things. And all these other things are the places where you start to try to achieve omnipresence. You've got your SEO really dialed in. You're showing up on Google Ads if people are searching for your services. You've got Facebook and Instagram ads going to attract new clients, blanketing the local market. Where else can we go? Now, I don't want to underscore the importance of those things that we already outlined, though. Think about your typical customer or consumer. You've got them covered. If they are a 37-year-old woman that lives within 3 miles of your office, the chances are they're performing Google searches, they're reading Google reviews, they're scrolling Instagram and or Facebook. Like 85% of your market is going to be covered just in those channels. But if we want to achieve omnipresence, we want to add some additional depth. We've got all of these other things. So if we had to kind of pick Lauren when we're to the omnipresence phase, we're really dialed in with our digital. We're maxing out our spend. We're starting to reach diminishing returns. We have to start looking at other options. I think some of that is service dependent, right? If you're doing a hormone therapy or things that you have policy issues with online, maybe your next move is print, radio, and TV and direct mail. If you are just doing injectables and that's the primary part of practice, maybe your next move is influencer and creator collaborations. So I think it depends a little bit on your service options. But if we had to ballpark it, Lauren, of the other things when we're trying to achieve omnipresence and we go beyond digital, what are the next things that we're looking at would be the first question. But a precursor to that is, why don't we currently incorporate TikTok into the strategies that we recommend for clients?
So TikTok is a very new realm of ads and advertising and audience as well. So that's the biggest issue with TikTok advertising specifically and spending money there is they do not have audience options that are really dialed in for us quite yet. So it's really hard to actually target the people who are closest to you that would make that trip into your med spa. For example, if you're a client who is in Philadelphia or the Philadelphia area, but you're 20 minutes outside the city, you can only target, let's say, Philly. You can't actually target your city specifically or a certain mile radius. Things like that are really important when you're trying to advertise, especially when we're talking about quality of the patient. If they're coming from an hour away for your promotion, they're probably not going to be super sticky and come back to you with how much traffic and other competitors there are in your area. So that's our biggest reason so far in terms of why we haven't pushed TikTok too much. It's just a challenge in terms of audience and making sure you're hitting the right people with all of those settings.
And again, anecdotally, I think our experience when we tried to run ads on TikTok for clients to this point, we've gotten a lot of leads. So you get a little encouraged by the lead volume. The close rate is virtually non-existent. I think in our test case, we spent several $1,000s and literally had like a lot of leads and no conversion, something crazy. It was really bad. And then like Lauren said, on top of that, you're targeting the entire DMA media region, just people that are coming from too far away. So that's why you haven't heard us mention TikTok much. Now that could change. It's always on our radar. We understand that TikTok has a very active user base, but the ads platform is not up to snuff in terms of performance to this point. That's why we don't recommend it as a primary use of ad dollars.
They also do have a ton of filters and things that are much harder to get across in the ad space. So, you know, in Meta, we can do filler, we can do Botox, we can do whatever we want to do basically. But in TikTok, they don't even let you say Botox. You can't say filler. You can't, there's a lot of things you can't do. So it makes it a lot more challenging to even get across the things you want. So right now for TikTok, though, I wouldn't stay away from it completely. You can utilize it as another source of organic social media, kind of play into that omnipresent side and hit more videos and things like that in office content. But the ad side for now, I would not say is worth it.
Yeah. And would we say then after that, when we're trying to achieve omnipresence, I think one of the things that we've been leaning into more, probably every door direct mail would be one of the first places we would recommend spending those additional ad dollars. it is another direct response platform. It gives you the opportunity to reach people on a very targeted basis, right? Specific geos, specific delivery zip codes and neighborhood maps. If you're going to do that, some of the things that we would probably recommend are understand the marketing acronym AIDA, attention, interest, desire, action. If you're going to put something in somebody's mailbox, make sure it's not one of 1,000 things that gets buried in the shuffle. Make it noticeable, make it stand out. Get something that's big, prominent, bold. They might throw it away, but they're probably going to look at it for 2 seconds before they do, that kind of thing. So every door direct mail would be a great place to spend those additional ad dollars, I think. Potentially radio, especially if you've got a niche product. If you're talking about testosterone therapy for men, talk radio, sports radio might be a good place to spend ad dollars. Select print. I've talked to some people lately. I had a podcast interview. Someone really liked the print magazine that they had locally. It was in a very high-end, affluent part of their town. And they were able to almost leverage that advertising opportunity as a branding initiative to position them as a luxury high-end option. Because if you're in that magazine, that's kind of the connotation it carries. I thought that was kind of cool. And same thing with print. If you're going to do it, go all out. Don't buy this 4th page in the middle of the magazine that people might scroll over. Buy the back cover. It is way better to spend money on the prominent placements. Gary Vaynerchuk talks about a Super Bowl ad being the most undervalued version of a TV ad. I think he's right about that. Obviously, it's significantly more expensive, but it's priced the same way, essentially, per impression. And the impressions you get during a Super Bowl ad are people that are actively looking at the commercials. It's a point of people are paying attention on purpose to the ads during the Super Bowl. No other version of a sporting event or TV show has people actively paying attention to the ads. So I think the same thing is true with these other things like direct mail and print. Go for broke. Go for the biggest, most bold placement you can possibly find. Other things would be, like we said, radio, TV, audio podcasts, something maybe to explore. We haven't done a ton of that. Billboards and outdoor advertising would probably be pretty low on my list. Lauren, I think we like event sponsorships and community involvement too, just because that checks so many boxes. It can also carry over onto the SEO side. Would you agree with that? Event sponsorships and local community involvement being a good place to double down?
Yeah, absolutely. I've seen a couple that kind of, in my opinion, make a lot of sense too in this industry. People do a lot of sports leagues and kids sports leagues. I think that's a cool place for a lot of parents to see you. A lot of moms right in our target demo too. So that's a good one just to get placements. And then like Ricky said, it holds SEO value as well, because we can get backlinks to our website, which will, like we said, SEO value and ranking potential too. So I think that is definitely a good place to go. And it's relatively low cost to get involved in as well. And there's tons of opportunities, local markets.
Yeah. And get your team involved if you do that too. That might be one of those things that honestly, I would almost maybe bucket that alongside the stuff that we said was like preliminary foundational, the social media, Google organic, email marketing, SMS. I think if you're not involved in your community, you're just missing an opportunity to generate business, goodwill, and word of mouth. So maybe that's one of the things you bump into the foundational part of the business. I think we do talk to a lot of med spa owners that are wanting to figure out how they're going to generate more business. And it's very obvious in early conversations, they have no involvement in their community whatsoever. Yep. They're kind of sitting in the office hoping people drive by and realize that they're there, but they're not engaging with people. This is a business that's based on relationships. Go out into your community, get involved, sponsor events. Like Lauren said, reverse engineer it so that you're getting involved where your target demo is active. But that might be a good foundational element to your practice. Whether you're just starting off or you're really established, been doing this for a while, I would probably encourage everybody to double and triple down on what they're doing for community involvement and events. Cool. All right. So before we kind of recap that plan, Lauren, any final thoughts on marketing and strategy and prioritizing budget and allocation?
Nope. No for me.
Okay. So to wrap again, our recommendation in terms of understanding opportunity cost, prioritizing and allocating our marketing budget would be 1A, Facebook and Instagram ads with a good lead intake conversion and tracking system. Ride that to at least 100K. From 100K to about $2 million a year, so 167K a month, we want to be incorporating Google Ads. Once we hit that, so now you're a $2 million a year med spa, now we can get more proactive about SEO. With SEO, you're also going to start doing some of that community involvement and some other things if you're doing it well. It'll carry over into some offline connectivity. So do SEO, I would say, as part of your program. So we're now doing Facebook, Instagram ads, Google Ads, and proactive SEO with a good lead intake conversion system and tracking system up to about $3 million a year in revenue. That's when I'm going to try to achieve omnipresence. We're going to go back to the drawing board. We're going to figure out what else we could be doing in terms of guerrilla marketing, every door direct mail, influencer engagement, radio, and some other things to try to make sure that we're embedded as much as we can with our local audience and our local market. So like Lauren said, we get this question a lot. People are trying to figure out where they should spend money. They're getting pulled in a lot of different directions. Hopefully that simplifies it and adds some clarity for you. Again, whether you're just starting off or you're an established med spa with 5 locations doing $10 million in business, go back to the drawing board, figure out how to allocate budget, understand opportunity cost, and hopefully scale and grow your business more efficiently for the rest of 2025. Thanks everyone for tuning in. This podcast is a production of Med Spa Magic Marketing. If your med spa or aesthetic practice is in need of digital marketing services, help with advertising on Facebook, Instagram, Google, lead generation, and booking more appointments, please visit medspamagicmarketing.com.